The world is divided into two kinds of people: those who move the pieces and those who are moved by them. You have sensed this from an early age. You enter a room and you feel unseen. You watch certain individuals command attention without effort. They are offered opportunities. They receive respect. They carry influence. And you, despite all your effort, despite all your good intentions, remain unnoticed. You work harder. You try to be kinder. You strive to be capable. Yet the world does not reward you in the way you expect. You begin to question why your talent is overlooked, why your goodness does not translate into recognition. Here is the truth that society is too polite to state openly. Power does not respond to purity of heart. Power responds to leverage. You have been attempting to enter powerful circles by showing loyalty, by being approachable, by offering friendship. But individuals who already hold influence do not seek additional friends. They seek utility. They seek strategic value. They seek reflections of their own identity and extensions of their own goals. If you want access to the rooms where real decisions are made, you must silence the part of you that seeks approval. You must abandon the habit of waiting for permission to take up space. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote his work more than 5 centuries ago, not as a guide for the immoral, but as an explanation of how human beings behave beneath their polite surface. He understood that at the core of humanity lies self-interest, fear, pride, and ambition. Ignore these truths and you will remain a pawn. Understand them, and you become the one who directs the board. What you are about to learn will challenge everything you have been taught about networking. You are going to examine 13 Machiavellian laws of connection. They are not pieces of advice. They are psychological instruments. Once you internalize them, you will stop looking at powerful individuals as unreachable figures. You will see them as systems to decode, puzzles to solve. Be warned. Once you learn how the strings are pulled, you cannot unsee them. Most individuals fail because they approach power with neediness. They reach out with an open hand, hoping someone will grant them an opportunity. They believe connection is created by being authentic and open. That idea is comforting, but it is false. Authenticity is a luxury that belongs to those who have already secured their status. For those who are still climbing, connection is an exercise in strategic adaptation. It requires you to become the ideal reflection of what the other person wishes to encounter. You shape yourself into a presence that fills their psychological gaps. Over time, you become so integrated into their world that your absence becomes unthinkable. You may ask yourself how this can be done without losing your identity. How can you influence the perception of powerful individuals without falling into mindless obedience? The answer requires understanding something called the psychological void. But before you understand the void, you must understand the laws. The first law is the recognition that you must never overshadow the one who has power over you. Your first instinct when meeting someone important is to impress them. You want to present your intelligence, your skill, your achievements. You think this will earn their respect. Instead, it often creates quiet resentment. Individuals in positions of influence can be fragile. Their sense of superiority is part of their identity. When you arrive displaying too much brilliance, you do not appear helpful. You appear dangerous. Machiavelli warned that it is unwise to appear more capable than your superiors. When you make someone above you feel diminished, even accidentally, you awaken their insecurity. They will remove you, not because you lack ability, but because you threaten their self-image. The wise strategy is to allow them to feel illuminated while you remain understated. When you share an idea, frame it so that they appear to have inspired it. Ask questions that allow them to demonstrate their knowledge. Encourage their ego in subtle ways. This is not submission, it is strategy. When they feel secure around you, their defenses fall. When they feel admired, they lower the walls. While they are reinforcing their identity, you are studying their patterns, noticing their vulnerabilities, and strengthening your footing. You give them the spotlight while you gain the influence. The second law is to conceal your intentions. An individual whose goals can be easily read is simple to manipulate. If someone knows what drives you, they can guide you with rewards, promises, or pressure. Most people reveal their desires without realizing it. They enter conversations with powerful individuals with an expression that practically announces their longing. The need for validation radiates from them. This desperation is instantly recognizable, and nothing repels power more. To form strategic connections, you must become unreadable. Machiavelli suggested keeping not only your rivals close, but your true motives even closer. Speak about everything except the thing you want. Discuss culture, art, ideas, or shared interests. Approach them without the scent of ambition. Mystery activates curiosity. When they cannot decipher your intention, they begin to observe you more carefully. They fill the gaps with their own projections. They begin to wonder what role you might play in their world. Once they chase the answer, they become engaged. The third law is to appeal not to charity, but to self-interest. This is where well-intentioned individuals fail most. When they need help, they present their struggles, believing the powerful will sympathize. They explain how deserving they are, hoping for compassion. But compassion demands time, energy, and emotional labor. Those who wield power are flooded with such requests every day. If they helped every deserving person, they would collapse under the weight. Machiavelli stated that it is better to be needed than to be liked. When you approach someone influential, never present your need, present your value. Identify what obstacle they are facing. Identify the competitor they want to surpass. Identify the project that requires support. Offer yourself as the solution. Speak not about your benefit, but theirs. When you shift the conversation from your problem to their gain, you transform yourself from a burden into an opportunity. People will open doors for those who solve their pain points. The fourth law is the strategic use of absence. In the modern world, overavailability is one of the quickest ways to appear insignificant. People respond immediately to messages, accept every invitation, and adjust their schedules to accommodate others. They believe this demonstrates commitment. In reality, it communicates that their time has no competing value. Scarcity raises perceived importance. If you are always within reach, you become ordinary. If you are always saying yes, you become expected. And what is expected is rarely respected. Engage fully when present. Offer your attention without distraction. Then remove yourself. Allow silence to do its work. When you stop appearing constantly, individuals begin to wonder where you are. They begin to dwell on your absence. They replay your last interaction. They start to feel a mild tension that keeps you active in their mind. When you return, your presence feels elevated. The fifth law is the mirror effect. Human beings are profoundly attached to their own worldview. Even those who appear humble have an inner desire to feel seen, understood, and affirmed. Most people try to connect by speaking about themselves. This is ineffective. To influence powerful individuals, Reflect their qualities back at them. Match their tone, match their pacing, match their metaphors, match their level of intensity, not as imitation, but as synchronization. When you subtly reflect someone, their subconscious labels you as aligned with them. You become part of their tribe. They feel validated in your presence. They feel understood. This is how rapport is created without force. The sixth law is to become the carrier of valuable information. In past centuries, land equaled power. Today, insight holds that throne. But the right kind of insight is what matters. Not common information, but privileged knowledge. Individuals at high levels are often surrounded by filtered reports. They rarely hear raw truth. If you can become the source of accurate intelligence, you make yourself essential. Present information that protects their interests or strengthens their position. Do not overwhelm them with gossip. Provide selective knowledge that guides strategy. Yet always protect your sources. If they can access the information without you, your value declines. Your strength comes from being the channel. The seventh law is the creation of alliance through shared opposition. Nothing unites two individuals like recognizing a mutual adversary. It may be a rival company, a cultural frustration, a broken industry standard, or a common threat. When you echo the frustrations that live in their mind, you create instant psychological alignment. But this must be righteous alignment, not petty negativity. It must feel like the two of you stand on one side of a chaotic world. This shared battle, even if symbolic, forges strong loyalty. The eighth law is the understanding of personal fantasy. Human beings often live more in the image of who they believe they are than in reality. Some see themselves as mentors, others as rebels, others as visionaries. Your role is to identify the fantasy that shapes the powerful individual you wish to connect with. Once you identify their inner narrative, you support it. If they view themselves as wise guides, ask thoughtful questions. If they see themselves as disruptors, speak the language of innovation. If they imagine themselves kings, you become the trusted knight. When you support their self-concept, you become indispensable to their identity. Powerful individuals live under constant pressure. They carry responsibilities that can crush the unprepared. Anxiety, stress, and internal chaos are frequent companions. Most people add more chaos when they interact with them. They bring emergencies, emotional reactions, or problems that require mental energy. To rise in their world, you must become an emotional anchor. When they spiral, you remain grounded. When they become overwhelmed, you remain composed. This contrast creates magnetism. When you enter with clarity and calmness, you lift the weight from their shoulders. Saying the words, "It is handled," becomes one of the most attractive energies you can project. You do not add to the storm. You dissolve it. Another law is the requirement to remain adaptable. Machiavelli admired the fox for its ability to shift form. Water takes the shape of any container. This is how you must operate when entering new networks. Some environments require assertiveness. Others require humility. Some leaders want initiative. Others want quiet support. Remove the idea that you must always present the same version of yourself. Adaptation is not deceit, it is survival. A rigid identity clashes with diverse environments. A flexible identity slips through every barrier. Another critical law is the creation of dependence. This is the point where most individuals hesitate. but it is one of the most powerful dynamics in human relationships. If a person in authority can easily replace you, then your position is unstable. You must develop a specific skill, responsibility, or relationship that cannot be handed to someone else. Whether it is managing a delicate client, operating a system only you understand, or solving a problem only you can handle, you must become the irreplaceable function. When someone in power realizes they cannot operate without your contribution, you gain leverage. You move from optional to essential. Control over outcomes comes through control over choices. This is another Machiavellian principle. The strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. It is the one who shapes the decisions before they are made. When offering solutions, present limited options, carefully framed. You guide the direction while they feel they are choosing freely. You build the structure while they sign off on the result. This approach ensures you maintain influence without appearing forceful. Finally, the 13th law is radical autonomy. This is the law that makes all others work. You cannot form powerful connections from a place of dependence or hunger. If you seek validation, they will sense it. If you need approval, they will categorize you as a follower. Autonomy means you have your own mission, your own values, your own standards. You are willing to walk away if the situation compromises your integrity. Paradoxically, the moment you become someone who does not require their acceptance, you become someone they respect. The person who can walk away holds the greatest leverage. When you operate from a place of inner solidity, you speak differently. Your posture changes. Your energy becomes grounded. Powerful individuals notice this immediately. They encounter flattery every day. They encounter obedience every day. But true autonomy is rare, and rare things command respect. Take a moment and ask yourself, which of these laws speaks most directly to your current life? This reflection deepens your awareness and strengthens your transformation. These laws may seem cold or calculated, but consider the structure of the society you live in. Governments, corporations, institutions, and hierarchies are built on strategy, not idealism. You are not using these laws to harm people. You are using them to navigate a world that has always operated by them. By understanding human behavior at its root, you stop being controlled by it. You move from being a spectator to being a strategist. Powerful people are not gods. They are individuals who learned the rules before you did. They are waiting for someone who understands the game to step forward with clarity and strength. That someone is you. These laws are not cages, they are keys. Now it is your responsibility to use them with discipline. The world will always attempt to pull you back into comfort, into complacency, into powerlessness. But if you are ready to sharpen your mind and rise above the noise, then make the decision right now. If you found meaning in this message, subscribe and like the video. Your journey into the inner world of power begins here.